In the headlines to the CBC NewsNight, an update on government's highway maintenance program, renewed efforts to tackle child abuse, and in sports, Barbados medal hopes dashed at the Surf Pro.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome to the CBC NewsNight. With the details, I'm Wendy Burke. Government is tonight explaining why significant work is being done on some of the island's highways. Minister of Transport and Works, Santia Bradshaw, says maintenance of these roads is key to their longevity. Akeem Klinkett tells us more.
Recently, motorists have been asked to be cautious and to divert from their usual routes because of maintenance on the highways. Minister of Transport and Works, Santia Bradshaw, says the program is in place to help fix some of the problems identified before the roads deteriorate. She says there are highways that will need some maintenance, while others will need full construction.
Many of them are over 20 years old, particularly across the ABC Highway, and we would have started to do some of the upgrades to these roads in terms of maintenance under the IDB Global Roads program a few years ago. And this project is really a continuation of that, because we recognize that we cannot continue to keep, fixing potholes along the highways. When we fix these roads, what ends up happening is that obviously these are high traffic roads. A lot of Barbadians use these roads and visitors to traverse key areas in terms of our economy. And it provides a better flow of traffic for emergency vehicles, for commuters generally, for our school children getting home. And so it is important for us to make sure that these key arteries are well preserved and maintained.
Ms. Bradshaw says there are other projects underway that have been needed for a long time.
The public would be well aware that we are doing work in the Scotland District under the Compact project. We've got the CAP project ongoing, places like Fire Park, Shophill to Content, King Garden to Bridgefield. We've also been working on our CC roads as well, roller compacted concrete across the country, again to provide a different type of technology to allow the roads to be more sustainable and long-lasting.
Meanwhile, supervising engineer with Professional Engineering Services, Darius Cumberbatch, explains the roads are being paved with higher quality materials that should help maintain their longevity.
Major highways projects are being resurfaced with the aggregate using the asphalt is of an igneous stone which is imported. This stone is of a higher density than our normal nice stone. It offers better traction as well. The density, this helps with the longevity of the asphalt surface, the overall resistance to loading and traffic impact. And what it also gives the traction is that, given the higher speeds seen on the highway, it offers assistance to drivers who would need to brake in emergency situations.
The Ministry of Transport and Works has been keeping the public informed about the schedule of roadworks through traditional and social media platforms. The MTW has also asked people to join their WhatsApp channel to stay informed about roadworks, vehicle licensing, and drainage projects in the country. Akeem Klinkett, CBC News.
The number of child abuse cases reported to the Child Care Board remained steady over the past 3 years. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey revealed these statistics as he launched Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month, April 2025. According to Mr. Humphrey, even one reported case is cause for concern. He says the board and ministry as a whole continue to engage in efforts to tackle the issue of child abuse head-on.
Between 2022 and 2023, 560 cases affecting 672 children. And between 2023 and 2024, 559 cases affecting 677 children. So the numbers are, as you can tell, the numbers are fairly steady. This year there's been a reduction of cases by 1, but an increase in the number of children by 5.
Minister Humphrey is asking adults capable of providing safe and loving homes for children to step forward and become foster parents. He says government has increased the weekly stipend to help them.
So that children who are in the current Child Care Board facilities may have the opportunity to be in a family environment, in a normal family environment. I also would have to say that persons who come forward would obviously be screened, to make sure that we are not putting our children at any further risk. But I also want to use this opportunity to encourage people to come forward. There are way more decent Barbadians than there are indecent Barbadians. And so we're asking people to come forward and to be able to help us to do that.
The Child Care Board will be hosting a number of activities to commemorate Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month, including a walk against child abuse on Friday, April 25th. Barbadians are becoming more interested in tracing their roots. Word of this from Chief Archivist in the Archives Department, Ingrid Thompson. She was speaking at the St. Thomas Harvest Market, which is a wee-gathering event for the parish of St. Thomas. Akeem Plinkett reports.
At the Harvest Market, there was an exhibition to honor late Prime Minister JMGM Tom Adams. It was organized by the Archive Department, which has been highlighting the island's former leaders during the regathering events. Chief Archivist Ingrid Thompson says exhibitions like these are helping to educate Barbadians about their history.
I find that Bajans are getting more interested in tracing their family histories, knowing who their families are and so on. And I personally believe that everybody is related. So we find that people are coming in and saying they want to trace their family history, they want to know where their family came from. So we find that from the beginning of the year in St. Lucie, that as we move from one parish to the next, the numbers are actually increasing and more interest is being shown among our communities.
The Barbados Trust Fund was among exhibitors at the market. Business Development Officer Kurt Dottin notes the regathering events allow them to get deeper into the communities to let people know about the fund.
We are going to be part of the regathering as much as possible because we are interacting with the different regathering committees and trying to get this, because this is a business hub, and we want to move this business hub with all the stakeholders into the different communities, along with showcasing the businesses from the different parishes that we would have financed. But from the ministry and the trust funds point of view, it's going to be an 18-month engagement, because we are partnering with regathering, and we are going to get the momentum from them, but we want to move the program. We want it to be a continuous. So we actually have this program running, I think, until April. It's going to be 18 months.
Other activities for St. Thomas include a rum tales and handover event at Harrison's Cave tomorrow. Akeem Plinkett, CBC News.
Coming up, a walk against gun violence. Hundreds of people walked from Kendall Hill to Silver Hill Christchurch to show their opposition to gun violence. The walk was organized to reflect on the tragic death of 13-year-old Jonathan Chase. He died after being shot multiple times while watching a netball game on the hard court at Silver Hill Christchurch. Anesta Henry has that story.
Tears flowed as Barbadians from all walks of life participated in the solemn walk throughout the Silver Hill community. Residents took up vantage points at windows and doors to watch the procession, which included Jonathan's grief-stricken parents, who wore shirts bearing a picture of their child's face. His aunt, Ordine Springer, says the family is grateful for the overwhelming support they have been receiving from Barbadians.
It's overwhelming. The show of love and unity, and then walking along the street, I heard people talking about it. They don't know him, but they're talking about it as though he was one of their own.
Ms. Springer says the past few days have been difficult for Jonathan's relatives, but they are supporting each other.
It's a rough time, very rough, very deep, and we are trying our best to hold it together. Because you can understand and imagine how things would be with us. It's not easy. But by the grace of God, we're hanging in.
Elder at the Silver Hill Seventh-day Adventist Church, Dale Hardy, says the church suspended its usual Saturday morning worship session to allow members to walk in solidarity.
We are very sad to know that this young man has lost his life in such a tragic manner. There is no place for this level of violence on the youth of this country, the youth that will be the future of this country. And so, as a church, we are here giving our support in our shirts, in our presence, in our prayers, and we will continue to give support. Our pastor visited with the family twice, and we are saying to them, if you need anything, you need someone to plan the funeral, you need a place for the funeral, our church is open.
Principal at Milton Lynch Primary, Tyrone Marshall, recalls Jonathan being a respectful, obedient child who was teachable and participated in all types of sports.
Jonathan was always the type of student who we would call a model student, and he was a boy's boy. and he left his mark. As they say, he came, he saw, he conquered our hearts.
The walkers gathered at the hard court where people reflected on Shonathan's life through tributes. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Israel must be hit where it hurts financially, but America must not be complicit in the apartheid which is now ongoing against Palestine. This is the view of attorney at law Lalu Hanuman, the spokesperson for the group Caribbean Against Apartheid in Palestine. A group of close to 20 gathered outside the United States Embassy yesterday evening to protest what they see as America's supporting role in the Gaza situation. Mr. Hanuman charges Israel has breached the ceasefire agreement.
They started bombing as of Tuesday last week, the 18th of March. So far, they've killed some 900 civilians, most of whom are children. And so this is why, particularly we're here today. Also, they've stopped all humanitarian aid getting in. There's no water, there's no food, there's no medication, there's no electricity. It's a gross human rights violation, and yet the world is silent.
Good evening to Sports Night. I'm Mark Seal. All Barbadians are now out of contention in the BTMI Barbados Surf Pro at the Super Bowl in Bathsheba. The Burke brothers were the last medal hopes, but riding out the waves in the quarterfinals today, Josh and Jacob were beaten in their heats. Josh lost to Mexican Lucas Cassidy in heat number 2 after posting a wave total of 10.67 with a best score of 6.67.
Joshua Burke up and riding. He comes off the bottom, going big rail turn, gouging that first turn, floats the section out onto the open face, cutting it back. He's going to let this wave stand up for him, looking for a big closing maneuver, and he just digs the nose and goes down. So unfortunate on that closing maneuver, but he did get some work done on the outside.
Cassidy progressed to tomorrow's semifinals with a winning total of 11.17. Meantime, in heat number 4, Jacob Burke fought hard against Luca Macinas from Peru, but the hometown boy lost by 0.4 of a point. Jacob scored a total of 12.04 with his best wave reading 6.87.
Jacob's going to pull the trigger on this one. Here we go. Jacob Burke up and riding, coming out onto the open face, coming off the bottom, throwing it vertical up in the lip. He needs 2 more maneuvers like that. Another big down carve. He needs to work this one to the inside and finish it strong. He's going to get some inside work done. Another wrapping cutback, looking for that finishing maneuver. Throws it up vertical. He's going to get 1 more hit. Jacob Burke, well done.
Meantime, in the Live Alexander Junior Pro, Barbadian Tommaso Layson was eliminated in the quarterfinals when he finished 4th in Heat 2 with a total of 8.84. His best wave was 5.17. Kickstart Rush and Watton FC have made some movements up the standings in the latest fixtures of the BFA Premier League. CBC's Melissa Farley reports.
Kickstart Rush in the White Tops made the highest jump on Thursday night at the Dover ground, leaping from 5th to 7th place. That was compliments to 2-0 win over the winless Silver Sands, who are still at the bottom of the table without a point. Assisted with the hard-fought efforts from Jamarco Johnson, the first goal came from the knee of Ethan Squires in the 30th minute, and that score was looking like it was enough for a kickstart. But just 3 minutes added to regulation time, Dimitri Dejako tried for a header from a corner kick, but Carl Hinkson was there as backup, beating Silver Sands defense and its keeper to give Kickstart goal number 2 and the 3 points. It means that Kickstart have now pushed Paradise and Pride of Gaw Hill down to 6th and 7th places respectively. In the night's other clash, Darian King was the main destroyer for Watton in their 3-1 win over Gaw Hill. Watton, playing in blue, went behind in the 55th minute when a corner kick made its way to a jumbo bunch, and it was Shamir Trotman with a slight head tap to put Gaw Hill up 1-0. But that was short-lived when King added a simple headshot for Watton just 4 minutes later in the 59th. Thank you, Kimar John, for the assist, 1-1 the score. Now, the second goal was similar to the first. A free kick from John to the head of King in the 66th minute, and Watton are up 2-1. The score was then changed to 3-1 in the 74th minute. Daquan Adamson in the middle looking for the nets, but teamwork came into play and King was there to see it through a left leg knock, and the mission was completed. 3 points to Wharton, and they are now in 8th place, pushing Deacons down to 9th. Action in the local football premiership continues on Sunday night with a triple header at the Wildy Turf. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
In basketball, Burger King Clapham Bulls and Fusion Boutique Station Hill Cavaliers are still on course for a head-on collision for the co-operators General Insurance BABA Premier League playoffs. The Bulls remain in second spot on 19 points and Cavs are in third on 18, as they were both in winners' row in their latest fixtures at the Barbados Community College. Bulls got by NSC Combined Schools Tridents, while the Cavs were also easy winners over Pinelands. In a play that mimicked the old-time Chicago Bulls triangle offense, Clapham Bulls utilized their big man Akeem Marsh in the middle for the short jumper. That's 2 of his 22. The Tridents had one player in double figures. That's their captain, Zane Gaskin. The Bulls defense didn't pick him up, so he waltzed in with a teardrop for 2 of his 17. The game's high scorer was Antoine Winter. He met this inbound pass with a runner that dropped for 2 of his 35. While also with a big game was Darian Hurley, who had a double-double of 29 points and 16 rebounds, as Bulls beat the Tridents 115 to 62. Cavaliers also had a high-scoring game against Pinelands. Stefan Otley has the green light to shoot the threes. This one helped him to 13 points. Then Cavs with the steal, one of the Pines' 35 turnovers, and Zachary Cave benefits. He had 14. Devon Knight wasn't his usual explosive self this night, but he still dropped 15. Here, the Pine zone defense lost track of him, and he gets the slam. The Pine had 2 players with 18 points, Rashad Hall and Nigel Jones, those 2 hooking up on this player, Hall with the assist, and Jones with the easy deuce. The game's high scorer was the Cavs skipper, Saeed Norville, who led all with 21, as the Cavs stopped the Pine 96 to 78. The 45-member Bajan Travelers are in Panama to compete in this weekend's World Council of Federation Domino's tournament. They will be using the opportunity to promote Barbados as hosts of the Famundo World Domino Championships later this year in September. The trip is also in honor of their late president, Inspector Rodney Innes, who passed away recently. 11 countries will be participating, and Vice President of the Bajan Travelers, Suzette Hines, expects them to do well.
This time around, especially from the last tournament, which was held in Puerto Rico, we had a very good showcasing where we placed in the top 5 in about 3 or 4 different categories. So this time around, this aspect of it is a little different from the other ones that we normally play. We're actually only playing team rather than individual. So there's the concept of an 8-man team and a 4-man team, which we have about 6 teams and a half participating. And the good thing about it, we're actually going to be using that half team to actually blend with another Panamanian team to make 7. So the prospects of being outstanding, especially in the 8-man team, where we're only playing amongst ourselves rather than playing with other persons from other countries where sometimes they do sell you out, unfortunately, it should be very good.
That's our news. Thank you for joining us. Continue to enjoy your evening.